Okay, we're live now. Hooray!
Yay, hooray! Hello, everybody watching future and past and present.
That's right. I have crazy hair here. Do you want me to call you crazy hair or
Crazy hair Naomi is fine. Like,
okay? I'll use Naomi because calling you crazy hair just sounds like odd.
yeah, I always find it odd calling people by their screen names once I know their names.
You don't have crazy hair. I like your hair.
It's insane. Look at this shit. There's like a bazillion piles of it.
Oh my god, it's beautiful. It's freaking beautiful. So yeah, so we're here with Naomi.
Yes.
And Naomi is going to basically just go over what's happened. I mean, I think most people know about VidCon and what happened in VidCon.
She can give a rundown.
But she can give a
so
rundown.
That way people who haven't, like, who weren't involved or whatever, or like weren't on the periphery or watching or whatever, can have an idea.
Exactly. And I don't think you were allowed much space to really talk about it either.
No.
So
yeah,
I will hand the floor over to you so you can sort of get everyone up to speed on that whole VidCon shit and, you know, anything else you feel you want to sort of have people up to date on.
Okay, I'm just going to, which channel is this on so I can load the chat just to have it?
This is on, hold on, it's on my Woolly Bumblebee stream. I'll here, hold on, I'll tweet it to you. Are you on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, let me at you. And don't mind me, I have a cold, so there we go. Crazy, yeah.
I'm assuming that someone will slip into the chat and make a nose joke.
Whoops. Yeah, of course they will.
I'm assuming. So.
There, I've tweeted it at you, so there you go.
Yay, and I'll quote.
All right. And Philo Skeptical's in the chat, and Ron is there, and George. Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up, guys? All right, so, yeah. So
I will hand this.
Do a thing. Do your thing.
Do your thing, girl.
I'm just going to send this out, and that way I retweeted it. Okay, so what happened at VidCon was that I saw that VidCon, like the however many years of VidCon was going to happen, and I thought, you know what would be great? Let's go. Let's listen to Anita Sarkeesian. Let's listen to Francesca Ramsey. Let's listen to these people that I've seen so much disagreement with, and I want to find out like what they think, and I want to kind of put my toe in the pool and gauge the general atmosphere of VidCon and what it's like to be there. So I bought a content creator badge because I'm a content creator. I love how people are running around like, this crazy fan stalker. It's like, I'm a content creator.
Yeah, you make videos. Hello.
Yeah, like, and so I bought my pass like 3 months before Jeff Holiday started being like, let's all go to VidCon and stir shit up. So yeah. And I even have like the screenshot that I showed on my video. I'm like, this is a screenshot of me purchasing my ticket 3 months before Jeff Holiday came up with his idea, because my purpose of going to VidCon was to like go to the fucking panels and find out what people I disagree with are saying, because that's the kind of person I am. I'm not the kind of like gotcha bedroom feminist, like you're trash. I'm the kind of like, I want to see things from your perspective and understand what you're saying in order to like see if I agree or disagree, or like how our worldviews differ. And I know that that's boring and it doesn't get clicks and views, but it's how I am. So I go to VidCon. I like made all these little buttons with like the Kakistani flag, and I made all these buttons with like people's pronouns so that people could like I want to respect both sides. Like, I get the whole pronoun thing, but I also don't really agree with like gender fluid
the 110 pronouns.
Yeah. So like I created all these, and I made little like "Don't forget to be awesome" pins, because I don't know how familiar you are with the Nerd Fighters, but I've been a Nerd Fighter since forever. I've owned every single one of John Green's books, and like and so like I was like, oh my god, VidCon's gonna be so much fun.
Awesome.
So I go
prepared for this, right?
Yeah, she prepared for this.
You were really looking forward to it.
I was super happy. So like I go to VidCon, and for the first few days, it's fucking awesome. Like I get to VidCon and I already knew a couple people that were going. And so they're like, come hang out at our hotel. So I did. And they're like, let's go get beer. And it's weird that you can get beer at Walmart in the States.
Yeah.
So we did that, and like it was great. We hung out, and like that first night, Dave Cullen came out and hung out, and everybody was fucking fanboying over him. Everyone was like, Dave this, Dave that, and I'm like, why are we like switching conversations just because you want to know what Dave Cullen thinks? But I'm like, whatever. Like it was like a little, if you can imagine, like Dave as the fucking sun. All of the little fanboys as the little planets, and I'm just like chilling there in the asteroid belt being like, but we were talking about something else just now. Like, can we go back to that?
Oh God. Yeah.
So it was weird, but I didn't say anything. And then like that's when I made that video where I was like, oh, I'm so glad that like I got over my social anxiety and I went out and I did something. Like it was super fun with people. Like it was great. And then I also like a few days, a couple weeks, I should say, before VidCon, people were posting like on Twitter, like, hey guys, let's get Vern to VidCon. Like, let's get Vernaculus to VidCon. Like he has nowhere to stay. And so I tweeted being like, I have like a room all by myself. Like he can stay with me if he wants, like no problem. Mm-hmm. And then he hit me up and we talked via DMs, and he's like, hey, I can't afford to pay you anything. Like, can I still stay? And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. Just buy me a beer. Like it's more important.
And that is like so nice of a thing to do, you know?
It's like I want people to come and have fun. That's it. So like he came and he stayed with me. Like the hotel room was pretty small, and like I had my little charging area and he had his little charging area. And it's really fucked up because he's such a, like, I shouldn't say he is such a good guy because he turned out to not be such a good guy, but he seems like such a good person. Like we shared an Uber back from the airport because we both arrived within an hour of each other. Okay. Him from the East Coast of the US and me from the East Coast of Canada. And so we shared an Uber, and the whole ride like into LA, we're just talking and laughing and making up jokes and like just really bonding. And we get to the hotel and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with a bunch of friends, do you want to come? And he's like, dude, I just have to pass out. I'm like, no problem. It's like that's when I went and I had a great night and he didn't come along. It's like I get so every night, every day, pretty much that's how it went. Like I would be like, this is my plan for the day, Justin. Do you want to join me? Do you want to go do something else? And he'd be like, half the time he'd be like, yeah, I'll tag along. Or he'd send me a text if he was by himself being like, hey, where are you? I want to hang out. And I would kind of like go downstairs because he only had a community pass. He didn't buy it early enough to have a creator pass. Okay. So I would come downstairs and I'd hang out with him. Like there was one point that I was hanging out with him and like we ran into the Badger Radio guys and we're like, let's go for lunch. And I'm like, super.
the vibe I got from the videos that you had done, right, about VidCon and everything, was that you were having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was having so much fun. And I have like 5 or 6 other videos because every night of VidCon, leading up to Friday, I sat down with my camera and I would talk into the camera about all the great things that we did that day. So I have all of that footage of all the fun stuff that I did, but I don't want to put it up because every time I put up anything concerning VidCon, the slew of June and Blair bully / drama queen like hive just like rain down on my channel and are like, you're a fucking crazy stalker CIA agent hacker. And I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah, no, because the whole vibe I got, right, because I watched your videos and I watched the one where you were talking about like, I'm so glad I got over my social anxiety and this and that. And that one really, like, it was really, really good. And I was like, this is just a girl who went to VidCon, who was really happy and excited that she went, you know, and she got over a social anxiety fear, which is important, you know, and that's something you should be proud of too, right? And so I get the happiness and the giddiness and the, you know, the exuberance that you were experiencing. So, you know, I that's what I saw. I saw someone who was just having a really fucking good time.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a really, really, really fun time up until Friday. So, like, I guess not up until Friday. It was bad because of what happened in that hotel room. And then it was bad because of the shit that happened Saturday night. So Sunday night, I'm supposed to fly out.
Right.
And that's fine because I'm like, I was happy that I planned my trip like that because I bought my flight tickets like so early when I bought my VidCon tickets that I was happy it worked out so that not only could I have gone to the Friday party, because once we arrived on, some of us arrived on Monday, some of us arrived on Tuesday, but the actual conference didn't start until Wednesday. And I was so happy. I'm like, oh, it's great that I arrived early, that I could like attend this stuff. And everybody, especially Dave Cullen and Vernaculus, Justin Little, whatever he wants to go by, they were constantly like, oh yeah, Friday's rooftop party. I hope everybody comes to Friday's rooftop party. It's happening like downtown LA. And like everybody's talking about this party as if it's going to be amazing. And I'm like, oh, well, like maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. We'll see how like my anxiety holds up.
Right.
So like you guys all know about the whole, Anita Sarkeesian garbage human thing. Like I have all of that footage start to finish on my channel. If anybody missed that, I was front center row. I had reserved the first 3 rows for us with little like signs that said ShitCon 2017. Like there's pictures of that guy that pretends that he hates me now, failure accomplished. He's like holding up that sign, tweeted out. Everybody was like super excited about Anita Sarkeesian. And so like we're sitting there, we're filming it. You guys can watch it if you want. And after that, all of the shitlords / skeptics / like that group of people, we all ended up outside, and they were there like for a good hour, just like talking about what happened. Like, and I said to Dave, like, I'm like, is this really a big deal? I'm like, I don't feel like it was a big deal. Like, it was just some girl who has really bad opinions about games. Like, I'm a gamer. I play video games almost every single day.
Right.
Like, her opinions don't matter to me because I know she's full of shit. And so, like, I'm like, it's just some person that I don't value the opinion of, calling a person who sometimes makes interesting videos that I like to watch a garbage human, and like, whatever, like, that's it. And he's like, no, Naomi, this is a moment in history. This is this is a huge. I'm like, okay, Dave, whatever you say, bro. like I don't like to like dismiss people. So in my head, I was just like, oh well. Okay, totally.
If you think so, okay, fine.
Yeah, and so like this is when like Boogie 2988 showed up, and Billy the Fridge was there, and everybody was like taking pictures with Boogie. After that Anita Sarkeesian thing, I actually ended up going to lunch with Maddux and his girlfriend, who is fucking awesome. She's a model for Zulily, and. Oh, wow. Yeah, and I don't remember if Vernaculus came with us or not. I don't remember. But the thing is, like, out of, like, Maddux, I've been following Maddux since I was 14 years old. Like, if I'm a fan of somebody, I am a fan of Maddux. Like, I have read almost every single article he's ever put out. I've, like as a teenager, I cried because I couldn't afford his books, and my parents were like, fuck no, we're not buying that for you. Like... If I'm a fan of somebody, I'm a fan of Maddux. Maddux.xmission.com, guys. If you haven't read his fucking articles, they are hilarious. He just came out with a book called Fuck Whales. He's such a funny guy.
That sounds hilarious, actually.
I did like, let me interject for those people that might not know. He has the, what is it? The best website in the universe?
Yes, the best website in the universe, the best podcast in the universe.
And he did a particularly awesome video that I don't think the feminists would like. I mean, like the radical feminist,
right?
He made a video critiquing this whole controversy over a drawn Spider-Man, like the cover of a Spider-Man comic, and he took that cover and superimposed it with I think a Spider-Girl comic, and to show that it was like the same drawing and whatever. It is a really good video. I mean, I'm nowhere as familiar with his content as you are, but you know, he's irascible and a dick, and like I kind of, you know, even when I disagree with stuff that he says, I'm like, yeah, you're a dick, and I'm cool with that.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. And when I was going out, like when we went to lunch, I told him, like even before we went to lunch, I walked up to him, and okay, I guess I should start with like why I'm even saying this. It's because I've been accused by thousands of people of being a crazy fangirl of Andy Worski and Blair and Shu. Like, I don't give a shit about these people. Like, I was standing right next to Shu during her meetup at the Cheesecake Factory, and I fucked off because I'm like, there are way too many people screaming, being like, I need to hug you, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. And I didn't even go say hi to her at the time because I'm like, I can't deal with like that kind of like high-pitched teenage like so like I fucked off back to my room to like sit and watch YouTube on my phone because I just couldn't deal.
Sounds like something I would do. I'd be like, fuck this noise. I'm going back to my room.
I'm not even
the teens.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not even waiting to like sit at the Cheesecake Factory with these people because like I honestly don't think that anything good is going to come of it because like all I can think of in large group food settings, and I pretty much avoided every single large group food setting there.
Yeah.
Is like it's just like a bunch of people talking over each other and no actual intellectual conversations happening. The only reason I am on YouTube is to have intellectual conversation with people because my friends here can't stand talking about socio-political issues because they're just like, fuck it. Like we're gonna talk weed, we're gonna talk beer, we're gonna talk like politics sometimes, but like not the level that Naomi needs. So like I started a YouTube channel. Let's just talk to the camera.
Well,
so all these fucking accusations that I'm this crazy fangirl. Like if you want to call me a fangirl, Maddux. I am Maddux's fangirl. Okay, I walked up to him. I'm like my 14-year-old teenage self was like in existence again. I walked up to him and I'm like, hi. Can we like take a selfie, please? And he's like, yeah, totally. Like, let's take this selfie. And he's like, he got his girlfriend to take the picture with us, and we went to lunch, and like his girlfriend and I both drank these ginormous mimosas. Like we're talking
you were like a wide-eyed 14-year-old fangirl. Yeah,
I was totally. And like the thing is, like after my first mimosa, I was no longer a fangirl because I was too busy like bonding with his girlfriend because she's so fucking cool.
Awesome.
And she's like shooting insults at him, and he's just like trying to like hide, like face palm himself. Like
okay, we're gonna be Catholic. We're going back to because I want access to a convent I can put my girls in.
Do you want to?
They're all going to a convent.
So they don't fangirl?
So they don't fangirl with anyone. Yes.
Oh, you know they're going to fangirl.
I'm completely dismayed by this.
No, he doesn't want he doesn't want our girls to be fangirls one day. They're going to be.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. They're going in a convent. That's the bottom line. I don't care.
You big goof.
They're going in a convent. I have spoken.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, continue.
Just wanted to put that out there so that way she can't fight me later. We're not gonna be Catholic. Yes, we are.
So that was awesome, and that was Friday afternoon because that night, like after our dinner, Maddux and his girlfriend got a ride from someone. They were actually like debating whether or not to go to the rooftop party, or there was this other like networking party for creators.
Okay.
And they actually decided to go to the networking party for creators instead. And so I I decided to like go back to I don't remember. Maybe I went back to my room. Maybe that's when I got a ride because Friended actually gave me a ride to this party. He lives in LA.
Oh,
and
that guy.
Yeah. And we stopped back by like Maya and Vernaculous's room so I could pick something up. And then we went to like downtown LA and I was like, holy shit, this is like a really long fucking ride. And in LA, it's traffic everywhere. And I live in a really, really small, like there's 35,000 people in the capital of Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
There's 130,000 people that live on this island total.
So that level of traffic and everything is like, holy shit.
Yeah, like why do people even do this? Like, why has the government not fixed this? This is fucked up.
Roads.
So we go to this party and it's super great. Like we're downtown. The drinks are overpriced, of course. And I'm like down in the bar with everybody, like some black guy, Vernaculus, Chris, Raygun, the Warskis, Jeff Holiday, like everybody that we've hung out with the whole week is there.
Right.
And I thought this would be the perfect venue for me to like give out some gifts because everybody is together in one place. So I had brought June's little, like I have a button making company. So I made these little buttons with bunnies on them, and I had all of the like pronoun buttons that I had that I was going to give to Blair and the little bunnies for June. And I had these little, they've talked about them before, these little like identical salt shakers that I thought like.
Oh wait, the poison salt
the
shakers.
Poison salt shakers, yes.
Like, and I had an identical pair for Dave Cullen and Sargon because of their like disagreement, like, get it? A salty dick? I thought it would be hilarious.
You know, puns are the devil's work, right?
Yeah, puns are the devil's work.
Don't ever hang out with me and my boyfriend then, because it's all puns.
I told you, Joe, it's a Canadian thing, all right?
Puns are the devil's work.
Puns are a Canadian thing. If you don't like it, then you don't want to be Canadian.
Oh, great. Now I have to kill all of them. I'm too old for that. I don't have time for that.
Bring on the nukes.
Yeah.
I don't have any, damn it.
So, I actually have, I wish I could turn the camera and show you, but I actually have like a bunch of bobbleheads and like little like figurines from Star Wars because I'm like a pretty big Star Wars fan since forever. And so like people for my birthday and Christmas and stuff, they buy me Star Wars stuff. And you know, you have to circulate it out.
Yes.
So I had retired a bobblehead of Darth Vader a long time ago into like a little plastic bin full of other Star Wars stuff that I had. So I thought, you know what, instead of like giving this to Value Village, it would be great. Like I'll just give it to Greg. Like Greg likes Star Wars. Darth Vader is like probably a bobblehead he doesn't have because it's pretty like out there. And so like I gave him the bobblehead and I actually explained to him that like it was given to me, but I had retired it. So like it was full disclosure, like this is a pre-owned bobblehead. And like I do know that like June ran around the internet being like, she gave Greg a used bobblehead. Like, oh bitch, I'm sorry I didn't put it in a box. Like,
yeah, like
my bad for giving you a gift that was pre-owned after telling you it was owned before.
You evil bitch, you.
Yeah, and it was only a problem. And the only reason I took tequila up to that suite was because everybody was like, oh, it's June's birthday. And even Vernaculus and Dave Cullen. Dave Cullen was so awkward when he did this. But they're like, oh, Naomi, are you like, they asked me, they're like, are you coming in the limo that June had like reserved for her birthday so they could like ride around in the limo before they went to the party? And I'm like, no, Dave, I'm not coming in the limo. And in my head, I thought, and even if I was invited, I wouldn't be there because that would be a horrible situation I couldn't get out of. So why the fuck would I go?
Yeah.
Like my anxiety was talking.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
So, he like felt really bad and I kept being like, no, don't worry about it. Like, don't feel bad. It's okay. Like, I don't feel bad that I'm not invited into the limo. It's for her friends. Like,
yeah.
like wanting to. Anyways, like side note, the next day, I won't name the people, but pretty much every time when I talked to was like, that fucking limo ride was lame. We shouldn't have gone. It was a fucking waste of time. Why did we drive around like drinking in a fucking car? We could have sat and done this in someone's hotel room. And I'm like, oh my God. But these people will be the first people to be like, yeah, that was an awesome limo ride, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so yeah, that happened. And then I go to the party. The party was like freaking awesome. Like I didn't care that we didn't go up to the roof even though we were supposed to. And if you look up like images of the roof, like the way that it's set up, it's fucking great. So I came with all these gifts, and so I didn't see them down in the party. I'd asked people like, hey, where's so-and-so? Like, so I can give them their presents. They were like, oh, I think they disappeared upstairs. Right. So I went over to Vernaculus, my roommate, and I'm like, hey, Vern, where are they? And he's like, they're upstairs, room 12. Room 12. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So me and my purse that has gifts and ID and my phone and fucking like tequila and shot glasses. And
the 7-inch knife you were carrying around.
Yeah. And the machine gun she was going to use. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And my foldable machine gun. Yeah.
And then her foldable machine gun.
And let me be clear. Is this just prior to when you decapitate the guard at the elevator?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Just want to be clear.
So I walk over. I'm like walking out of a bar. It's this bar. And I walk up to like the first person in a uniform that I see, probably a security guard or something, and I'm like, hey, where are the elevators to get up to the rooms?
Right.
He goes down the stairs to the left. I'm like, okay. Down the stairs I go to the left. I see like a person there in charge of like pressing the button for the elevators. I'm like, holy shit, this is a swanky hotel if there's somebody there to press buttons for the elevator.
Definitely.
And so I'm standing there with a couple people waiting for the elevator, just thinking like, whatever, somebody press the button for us. I get in the elevator. These people get in the elevator with me. One of them swipes a card against the thing and presses a button. And I'm thinking, oh, that must be like the VIP floor that they're going to. That's probably why they have like a key card. Because some hotels that I've been to, like you can just go to like whatever floor you want. But if you want to go to the penthouse or to like the family friendly floor, you need a card so that nobody that isn't supposed to be there gets there.
Exactly.
I didn't think anything of it. They turned to me. They're like, what floor? I'm like, 12, please. Go up, look for room 1212, knock on the door. They open the door. I'm like, hey, I'm here to deliver birthday shots and presents. And they're like, oh, yeah, awesome. Yay.
Yeah.
I go inside and we're just like talking it up, and like Greg's asking me where I'm from, and I tell him I'm from Canada, and we're just talking Canadian things. June was being weird. She got in the bathtub into the fetal position, and I'm just like, hey, she must be like whatever, like it's her birthday, she can do whatever the fuck she wants. Like, you know, I'm not gonna judge you. Blair's boyfriend, I was really curious because I'm like, oh, this isn't the guy that's in, like, this isn't the guy that she was living with. Like, is this a new boyfriend? But I didn't say anything. And like Chris, Reagan, and Lacey are like on the couch, and like it's like an L-shaped couch type thing.
Yeah.
And then like on the L, like
on the
or whatever.
I saw the video, so they were like on the end of it.
Yeah, and they're just chilling there. And so, like, I poured, like, birthday shots, and, like, the first person I first go to, obviously, is the birthday girl. I'm like, birthday shots, and she's like, I don't want them. And I'm like, that's cool. Greg, would you like a birthday shot? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he, like, downs the tequila, and I take the tequila shot with him. And then I, like, poured more shots for, like, everybody else. And I'm just like, so Greg's talking to me, and I was like, and Lacey was, like, looking at me, she's like, hey girl, and I'm like, okay, everybody's been drinking, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, Lacey, you know what, like that video that you made a bazillion years ago about why you're a feminist, like I really actually enjoyed that video, and I forwarded it to a lot of people. Like I felt like it really, like if you take the whole like feminism is cancer thing out of it, like it's a really powerful video. And so like we talked about that for a little bit, and like so there was like interaction and like social discourse and shit happening. And then randomly out of nowhere, I start hearing Blair's boyfriend like screaming like, "Who is this gypsy?" And I'm like, like that's when I started to be just like on the deep, like, holy shit, like what the fuck's happening? Like,
yeah.
And then he like comes up and he's like, "Gypsy, Gypsy, go home." And I'm like, okay. So like, he's like, "Get your stuff and go home." I'm like, okay, dude. So like, I got up and I like went over to my purse and I started putting my things away.
Right.
At the same time as I'm doing this, Blair, like, she was running around the room like the whole time, like from one section to the other. At this point that I'm packing up my stuff, she's sitting on the ground next to a chair and her head is banging against the chair. And I'm like, dude, turn around, like your girlfriend's head is banging against the chair. Like, can you like help her?
She
and like
was drunk as a skunk, right? So
and he's like, "Go home, Gypsy, go home." And I'm like, okay. So like I continue to like pack up my stuff, and then I see she's trying to climb up on to sit on the chair, and she keeps falling to the ground. And I'm like, dude, stop.
I'm sorry, yeah.
So I turned back around because like I can see this happening from the corner of my eye, and I'm like, dude, can you just help her onto like the chair? Like I didn't feel comfortable walking around him and helping her up onto the chair because I didn't know how he was gonna react. Like someone screaming in your face, "Go home, Gypsy!" Like you don't fucking play with that shit. So like he didn't like turn around. Just he's literally 1.5 feet away from her when this is all happening. And, like, he wouldn't just turn around and lift her up onto the chair. And I kept being like, dude. So he leaves. I am, like, packing away my stuff. Blair's, like, falling onto this chair. He comes back with his cologne spray bottle.
Yeah.
And he tries to, like, spray me with it to make me go faster. And that's when I run away from him. And I'm like, dude, don't fucking do that. I'm allergic. Because, like, there's been a lot of times that I've had, like, really intense like a reaction to strong smells. Like there's certain smells at Bed Bath & Beyond where I can't even walk near those things because like the smell is so strong it makes it hard for me to breathe.
Yeah.
Anaphylaxis you're talking about.
It's sort of an anaphylaxis. It's an allergy. And it's common in some people.
But I've never like had an EpiPen for it or anything. So like my immediate reaction was for self-preservation. Like I ran away from him and I stood by the wall. As far away from him as I could, and I said, "Put that down. I'm allergic." Yeah. And the whole like they're laughing, like it's funny, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like I need to get out of here. There's a person with a bottle of spray between me and the door and my shit. Like, so eventually somebody makes him put it down, and I managed to go over and grab my shit and leave. And that's the video that June put up of me like leaving. Yeah, I left. When I get uncomfortable, my immediate reaction is to smile and laugh because, like, I found that
I get that too. I get that. Like, I get uncomfortable at funerals or whatever, and I'm giggling. It's like a funeral. I shouldn't be giggling, but
it's terrible. I even remember as early as like 1st and 2nd grade about how when the teacher would call me up to like solve something on the board or like write a word on the board for like a spelling thing, I remember like my face would get big and smiley and I couldn't get it to go away. Yeah. Like I'm like, oh God, just like stop.
A lot of people, though, with like social anxiety and stuff like that, they have that reaction.
I have to say, though, let me just point this out. It's got nothing to do with the story per se, right? But I find it ironic that someone with a legit social disorder, right?
Yeah, like social anxiety, yeah.
With social anxiety, right? Should be attacked for having it when the great majority of these people, and let's be clear, they're unable to deal with society at all.
Well, they're very antisocial in a lot of ways.
A lot of these guys are very not mainstream, I guess, or something when it comes to social interactions. Because I caught I spoke to June, and I spoke to Memory Holiday.
Yeah.
And they had slightly different accounts of what constitutes a party.
Yeah.
And you know, I believe I determined at the time that it was Memory that was lying. It could have been June, I don't know. Where they described the party that was going on downstairs as part of the thing that they were doing upstairs. Like, we're at the party. I'm like, no, you're not. I don't understand what you mean.
Yeah.
If you're on the 12th floor hanging out with your friends in a private room,
that's not
part of the party, is it?
Yeah.
And so there was a thing about that, and then June blocked me. And I'm thinking, you know, I've been to parties where I've gotten shit faced. I mean, there was a bar we used to go to where it was like a $5. This is back in the day.
Yeah,
where it was a $5 cover and free crappy beer until like midnight.
I remember those.
And I would have like 30 or 40 plastic cups of beer sitting in front of me.
Yeah, so you were like,
at midnight. So I'm giving out beer until 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm on the train going back home at 6, vomiting everything that I ate.
Oh, that's fun.
So I've had those kind of nights, but I've never needed to have that kind of a lubricant for social interaction. It surprises me, and I don't know, I haven't checked that these people are involved in this little private get-together, and it's just them and personal friends or whatever, and they got to get high. Because giggling like that, and I got to say, you know, crawling into a bathtub in the fetal position is not a common drunk thing to do. It's a common meth thing to do.
Well, I don't know.
Or a common acid thing to do.
I don't know if they were on drugs, but
yeah, it sounds pretty clear that they were on drugs. And by the way, I don't feel the urge to like curb my speculative tendency because as I remember, and I dug through a lot of the comment sections and I saw the videos and the Blair White video and all this stuff. And I remember distinctly going, wait a minute, no one has provided evidence of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing that bothers me. It's like people are, and by say people, I mean like the mob, are coming to me saying, prove this to us. And I'm like, dude, the burden of proof is on the person making the accusation. Like, yeah. You can't ask me to prove that Jeff Holiday said this. Like, because he said it to me verbally. Like, you can't ask me to prove that I am not CIA, that I am not a crazy stalker, that I am not intending to stab somebody. The burden of proof is on Memory Holiday to show that I was intending to stab her with a crafting knife.
And like, so for people that don't know, what happened was there was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Naomi, there was a stream that Blair White did right after all of this craziness happened, where all of a sudden they got into this conspiracy theory that you were there to maybe poison them or that you were there to do them some sort of harm, right? And
I didn't watch, I have to like full disclosure, I didn't watch the stream up until the moment that I was on it because at the time I had a really, really good friend visiting from Chicago and we were going to go out for ice cream. My boyfriend contacted me and said, hey, they're going to have this stream about you. And I said, oh, holy shit. Like, I wonder if they're going to pull that bullshit with like, oh, let's have a stream about somebody, but not let them on and defend themselves.
Right.
So I went and I commented on that stream because he sent me the link and I commented on it being like, you guys are no better than like the shit on bearing stream if you don't let me on. Because I thought like that's the perfect analogy where like Bering had to sit on a stream and be like, oh, I have to watch a stream about them shitting on me instead of being on the stream so that they can shit on me to my face.
Damn, I missed that.
Right. No, I saw the Blair White stream, right?
No,
and that happened sort of in the beginning of the stream where they were like, oh my God, you know, she could have poisoned the salt or she could have, you know, like all of a sudden
there was this entire National Enquirer vibe to everything I was reading. And and let's bear in mind, right, that because of your associations, right, Naomi, because of your associations, I just see I'm too old to spend that kind of time. I've got like legitimate shit to do, not just work, but also going over homework with the kids and stuff like that, right? So I've got stuff to do. So when you tell me, right, oh well, she's hanging out with these guys and she was in the front row, I thought, well, then I don't give a shit. It's them fucking each other over. Fuck them, right?
You were like,
so I don't.
You were like, she's one of the shitlords.
Yeah, she's one of the shitlords. So yeah, so I don't have a dog in this fight, and even right now I don't, right?
Well,
but however, I will tell you this. I will tell you. Well, now I kind of do. I think that you got shafted.
Oh yeah, she got shafted big time.
And I don't think it was fair at all, like what they did and how they went about it. But just recently, in that shit show stream that Dave Rubin had, right? When Blair White brought you up, apparently you, whatever recording, however you made it, apparently is a tap.
Yeah.
You tapped them. I was unaware of this until she said it just then and there.
Well, because Naomi is the CIA.
Because it's like, right, so there's this whole conspiracy theory shit going on. And I'm stood back. Remember, at that point, I don't really care. At that point, I'm just eating popcorn, right?
Yeah.
And watching motherfuckers burn and shit. And at that time, I really didn't care if it was you or Blair or anybody, right? And I'm sat there and I'm going, but wait a minute, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like, she's like a CIA operative who bought this 3 months in advance,
like
under her own name.
Yeah, I don't.
Why would you do this?
Why would you do
like this is not how the movies go. This is not.
It's great. I'm a CIA operative, stalker, pro hacker, knife wielding, psychopath, and zero evidence. Like, not for a single thing. And I even, like, in my 50-minute video, and I love how there's people commenting on it being like, oh my god, 50 minutes? And I'm like, bitch, this is my channel. I'm going to make my videos as however long I want. Yeah. And also, I'm going to talk about whatever the fuck I want. Like, I love how people are commenting shit like, oh, you're still talking about this? I'm like, bitch, my channel.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a problem? Go make a channel and talk about your shit.
Exactly. And if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. No one's fucking making you watch it.
Well, these are also the free speech advocates. Don't forget.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm technically all for that free speech. But my point is that in my 50-minute video, I addressed every single one of mostly Memory Holidays bullshit claims.
Yeah.
And I debunked them one by one, or I had provided if Andy thinks that I hacked his Twitter DMs to find out where he was going, then he can go to this exact time and see in his history that I hacked his Twitter DMs. Or look at this screen grab that I have of where I accessed my own Google account, because every time I access Google accounts from not my computer, I've designed it so that I get a receipt where it says, like, you accessed your Google account from this computer at this time, at this location, at this IP, so that I know if anybody tries to access my shit.
Right.
And I said, I have this screen grab. So if Andy wants to prove that I hacked his shit, he can go and do this and show anybody that it's true, that he got his Twitter DMs, like, attacked.
Let me interrupt. Let me interrupt you. I'm sorry to cut you off. I want to say two things. In the chat, they are some people have asked, and I want it on the recording, right? Because chat disappears.
Yeah.
This stream is the Dave Rubin report, the one we're talking about, where the one that I mentioned, where Blair White says that you tapped her. Yeah. That's the one where he interviews together Candace Owens. And
Red Pill Black.
Red Pill Black and Blair White.
Yeah.
Now, on the second note, to address just one last thing, to address what you're saying there, I get exactly what you're saying, right? The whole notion of screen grabbing stuff. I don't I don't usually consider that evidence, right? I usually am skeptical of it.
It depends in what context.
It depends on it really kind of depends, yeah. However, I will say this. From what I have seen of Andy Worski's videos, we're talking about Andy Worski, right?
Yeah,
right.
He's so monumentally stupid that I don't think he would understand this if you if you walked him through it and drew him pictures. I really don't think that. Yes, I'm taking a dig at Andy Worski because he's stupid and popular and therefore dangerous. Sorry, you may continue. I'm sorry.
The thing that's like what I didn't understand, because like when I met Chris Worski, he is actually, or I should, just like Vernaculus, I thought, wow, this guy's a really good guy.
Right.
And seriously, like when I first ran into them, I was walking with Vernaculus somewhere, and like they came by and somebody was like, oh, that's the Worskis. And they turned around and came to talk to us. And Andy went on to like talk to somebody, and then like a fan of his walked by and wanted to talk to him. So like I'm just standing to the side with Chris Worski being like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, I used to live in the area that you guys currently live in, like in outer Toronto. Like, I hope you like it. Just talking about like Indian food, which is really great out there and stuff like that. Like nothing important, nothing to do with the internet. And I'm like, hey, like, here's my phone number. Like, why don't you like just message me and like we can keep in touch about where we're hanging out later? Like, because like I'll tell you.
How did you feel like when all of this happened, when they started doing these streams and accusing you of being like some sort of crazy person?
I felt, I guess, the way you would feel it, like, you know, those rom-coms where like Freddie Prinze Jr. takes the girl and makes her into a princess, and then she finds out that he only did it as a joke and everybody's shitting on her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about this movie.
That's how I felt. I felt like I went somewhere, I had a great time. I thought that everything that I was experiencing was genuine. I felt like the people that I was having discussion with were amazing, and like I felt like the people that I was like, oh, the battleground of ideas, the conversations, like these socio-political issues that I can't delve into with my friends. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like I actually have people in front of me that I get to talk to about this stuff instead of online.
Right.
And then when all of this happened, and I'll explain to you exactly like what happened on Saturday night, that I think happened on Saturday night to cause all of this. I felt like everything was shattering around me. Like I felt like everything that had been something that I thought was real had just disappeared. And it was terrible. It was terrible. It threw me into a really long depression for like at least 3 months. And it was really tough to get out of it. But when I did, now I see the world in a completely different way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess you felt like completely betrayed.
Absolutely, 100%, especially because some of these people are people that I have listened to their deep, dark secrets and that they've needed someone to talk to, and I've been there for them for hours and hours and hours, like talking them through their depression, talking them through their breakups, talking them through the girl who rejected them, like all of that. And then because the mean girl said this person's a no, then everybody's like, fuck you, Naomi.
Why do you think they did it though?
Here's the thing. When I came downstairs in tears, and I went to Jeff Holiday because I thought like he's considered, or I guess I considered him at the time, the kind of like big brother.
Right.
That, like you could go to him and say like, this shit's happening, and he would be like, well, this is my life experience, and this is my this is what I think you should do. And then you follow his recommendation and everything is amazing.
Right.
Because he fixes all of the bad. So I went to him and I was super upset, and I told him everything that happened. And I told him at the time, I said, I stood there and I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I didn't think anybody would believe me. And that's why I have a recording. I told him at the time, like, I have a recording. And he said, like, oh my God, I can't believe these people are treating you like this. He went upstairs, and the next day he had told me while we were sitting and I was drinking my coffee, he said, like, I told those people, like, fuck you, you made my friend cry. So upstairs he's calling me his friend, but once the mean girls decide I'm a no-no person, he never knew me, which is like,
yeah,
amazing. So he goes upstairs, and apparently I found out the next day, he like screams at them, like, you made my friend cry. She's downstairs in tears. Like, fuck you guys. Like, you should have been nice to her. Like, I can't believe you treated somebody like this, which is what I thought he was going to do, like a decent fucking human being. And then apparently at the time, Greg tried to fight him, like tried to beat the shit out of him.
Oh, Jesus.
This is what Jeff tells me the next day when I'm sitting drinking coffee with Memory and with Jeff Holiday and Chris Worski. Chris Worski's eating lunch with us, and I'm like drinking my coffee before I go to VidCon after having cried all night.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I went upstairs. They were definitely on coke. Like, I know, I used to do drugs. Like, that was definitely coke. They were definitely on coke, he kept saying. Like, and yeah, and Greg tried to beat the shit out of me, and June had to restrain him. Like, I don't know what he would have done. And then he says to me, and then because I like to piss white people off when they're out of control, I called him a fucking nigger, and then I left.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, like, I guess that's a conversation ender.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I hear
I'm
my
like,
mother calling.
yeah. So I'm like, oh well. And then Memory Holiday is trying to like distract me from how sad I am by like talking to me about stuff that happened to her. And if anybody like watches her channel, it's pretty much like those stories about her like travels. And she told me one of those. It was really sweet of her to like sit there with me and talk to me like that and ask me how I was doing. And then she's like, do you want to? I had drank like this giant thing of water and a giant coffee, and I'm like, hey, can I use your bathroom? Because Jeff had gone up to use the bathroom, and right. Memory and Chris were like, okay, we're gonna head back up to the room now. So I asked, can I use your bathroom? And keep in mind, the Starbucks is across the street from my hotel and is connected to their hotel.
Okay.
So in the Starbucks, there's a bathroom. So if either of them would have been like, no, sorry, like there's people up in our room, it's whatever, I would have been like, yeah, whatever, like I'll go use the Starbucks bathroom, no big deal. Like I wasn't trying to infiltrate anybody's room.
Yeah, I get it.
Don't lie now.
Don't lie now.
You were.
Yeah, she's totally CIA operative.
Remember, and I'm just gonna point out just for the cheap seats that the CIA is an institution in the United States,
and Naomi's
you're
Canadian
from Canada.
Yeah.
Maybe you're like one of those Russian sleeper agents we've all heard about in the movies, right?
I also served 2 years in the Israeli military, so this shit could get pretty layered.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. The rabbit hole goes deep.
Rainbow Six, for fuck's sake. Oh, God. Oh, God.
So you were saying,
yes.
So I go upstairs and I use the bathroom, and I'm like, I put all of my camera equipment down because I have it with me for the panels, because I'm filming like really high quality first row video of the stuff.
Right. And
I remember that Chris and Andy Worski had asked me that the day before to like at the panel to be like, hey, can we have like your footage? And I said, no problem. Like, I don't mind giving out my footage. I'm not like gonna hoard it on my channel being like, only I'm allowed to use my footage. So I was like to Chris, I'm like, hey, do you want me to put this footage on your computer before I go to my next panel? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So he brings me a computer. I don't fucking know who this computer is. I assumed it was Chris's because Chris brought it to me. He puts down a computer in front of me. I take my memory card and I stick it in the little hole and I like drag and drop. It's like 15, 23 gigabytes. I don't remember how many gigabytes of information. So it took a while to transfer. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I asked I asked for the Wi-Fi password so I could be on my phone because I'm Canadian, right? Like I don't have fucking roaming data. Like I have 10 megabytes so that I can like maybe check my email. So I asked for the Wi-Fi password and they gave it to me. And then I asked Chris because I thought like, oh, I'll be on Twitter here, but maybe I can upload some of this Anita footage while I'm waiting for these files to transfer. So I asked Chris like, hey, can I like go online on this computer?
Yeah.
I hadn't touched anything except moving these files. And Chris goes like, yeah, sure, no problem. So like I open Google Chrome and I see that somebody's logged into Google Chrome. So I said, why don't I open an incognito tab so that like I don't have to log whoever out of whatever. And he's like, yeah, no problem. So he comes over and he helps me open this incognito tab. I guess he's supervising what I'm doing. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just on this incognito tab. I log into my Google account. Like the notification goes to my phone with like that little receipt thing. And I'm on Google trying to upload this file. And oh, this is another thing. Whoever thinks that I'm lying about that can go to my channel and see when that first Anita video is uploaded. It coordinates perfectly with when I was in that room.
Exactly.
So, haha. No, you know what I was really doing?
You were infiltrating.
I was CIA hacking.
Yes, the
shit.
Horskies.
Yeah, I was putting like Trojan horses on the computer.
It is so ridiculous that they would even think that this is a thing, you know, or that anyone would believe this. But then
but see, that's the thing that I want to impress on people that are even just watching this experience from the sidelines, right?
Yeah,
because I'm just watching, like. It's not for nothing, Naomi. It's not for nothing, and whoever else, right? That people who are called or considered to be like SJWs or like feminists or whatever, that these people don't trust you, and I don't mean you personally. I mean these motherfuckers.
Yeah, those ones. Yeah.
These motherfuckers, we already know from several like. There was just a dump done, and this is a different group, right? I'm not, you're not Nazis, Andy Warski. You're just stupid. These people, they caught a bunch of white nationalist dudes sharing bomb making instructions, right?
Yeah,
on a Discord server.
Unicorn Riot.
Right. Yeah. So, and I don't doubt for a second that this happens, and I know it does because people like Kraut and T have said so.
Yeah, they're on Discord servers,
and they're coordinating their efforts as to when to release their videos on YouTube.
Look, we don't even have to go that far. When I was part of AVFM, I was involved in the back. On the back chats and everything on Skype. We know this happens. This is not an isolated thing.
No.
Right?
People do it. And to be fair, right, I will mention it before somebody goes, well, what about? Yeah. The feminists sometimes do it too.
Yeah.
Right? So people do this all the time. And what I saw from that very first stream that Blair White did, this is a money grab.
Yeah.
This is a nothing thing. This is a slew of either misunderstandings or deliberate misrepresentations. Like when Blair White she confirms for me that this was misrepresentational and deliberate, right? She went on that stream with Dave Rubin and said that you tapped her.
Yeah.
A tap is a very specific thing.
Yeah.
I think I know why she said that. Because of the mob that came at me, like delete the recording, which by the way, I'm totally okay with deleting that recording once all of the false claims that were made about me are publicly retracted.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to tell you from experience, okay? AVFM tried this shit with us about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And we still get people. Well, where's the money you stole?
Yeah,
like, nobody stole a dime.
Once that narrative is out there, it's out there, and even if they retract it, it's still out there.
And the truth is,
and you know, as unfortunate as it is, you know, you're always going to be seen as whatever they've painted you as, regardless if they even come out and say, yeah, okay, I was wrong.
But for me, I don't care about how people think of me, but for me, like, I'm not gonna be okay deleting that recording, and I fixed it up pretty nice just so that I could listen to it and be like, okay, you weren't crazy when you heard this. This is really fucked up.
Right.
Like, it's really clear now. And I had a whole bunch of people come out of the woodwork when they first heard about it, being like, give it to me. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not giving it to anybody, because I made it so that, like, the people downstairs, because I'm like, the people downstairs are not going to believe me that these people said this about me, because I can barely believe that these people are saying this shit about me.
Yeah.
No, I suggest you keep it.
Yeah.
For real, man. To be honest,
even if they like apologize or whatever, I think, you know, having that is a good thing.
To be honest, I know that you're much nicer than I am.
Well, she's
but
Canadian.
If it was me,
that's
I know
how we
you
are.
Fucking Canadians, man. But if it was me, that shit would have been out already. Oh yeah.
But
I understand why you're holding back.
I understand, Naomi. I do.
I understand too. I understand too. You're a nice person. You're a decent person. I'm a prick. I would have done it, but you know, that's me.
So what I want to do right now is, now that people sort of know what was going on, how has this impacted you now? Let's get into that.
I've been pretty much deplatformed by anybody who wants any association with them. So anybody who feels like they are friends with them, or that they want to be in a collab with them, anybody like that has pretty much like, no, like, they cut me out of their lives per se. Not that it's been a great loss, because it's really created something wonderful for me where I can see the true colors of people. So for example, there was a stream that I was a big fan of. It's not a stream that has many followers. Like, I'd say they're in the hundreds in subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not very big, not like the Drunken Peasants where it's huge.
Right.
But I was a pretty regular appearance on their thing, and I found out that people that were part of that stream were advocating that I shouldn't be allowed to be on the internet. So I'm like, I don't want anything to do with them. And I'm not the kind of person that just like gives people the cold shoulder. I contacted the head of that stream and I'm like, hey, people from your stream are telling me I don't have the right to be online. And he responded with, nobody on my stream has ever said something like that. And I said, okay, whatever you say, but like, can you like make sure that that message stops happening? Like, we used to be buddies.
Yeah.
Like, we used to joke around and stuff on Twitter and like be on each other's shit on YouTube. So can you like do me that common decency? And pretty much I stopped hearing from them after that. People who I had like really fun conversations with in DMs and on Twitter, people that I'd been there for emotionally who were telling me like that they were feeling suicidal, I'd stayed up with for hours talking to them. They turned on me with like public like memory holiday. Don't worry, I understand that this is a manipulative bitch and fuck her. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
thanks.
Having gone through some of that like similar stuff, right? In one way, it's really upsetting. You know, you feel betrayed and you feel like crap, right? But in another way, it's kind of nice because you get to see people's true colors.
Yeah. And that's how I've started to look at it. That's like me. I have diagnosed, treated depression. Like,
right.
Like, I have a box of pills, my crazy pills.
Your crazy pills, yeah.
And like, I got my vitamins and shit in here, and like, I have to take them every day because of my anxiety and depression disorder. It's a diagnosed, treated disorder. Right. And so like, this whole thing threw me into a downward spiral that came very close to like those horrible suicidal thoughts. And I slowly came out of it thanks to my wonderful, supportive life partner who is always there for me and supporting me in that. And it's very difficult to be with somebody who is like deep into a depression, who doesn't want to get out of bed for 3 days. And so coming out of that, now refocusing on the world and realizing, like, you know what? I'm better off without these people in my life. I'm better off without these fake social climbers. Like, I have no idea who this Bunty King guy is. I met him and I remember we were like in a bathroom, like at somebody's like place or something. I don't even fucking remember where I met him. That's how like non-important this interaction was. I just remember being like, Jesus fuck, my phone's blowing up. And him being like, yeah, that's me every day. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, are you a content creator on YouTube? Like, I've never heard of you. And he goes, I'm pretty big on Twitter. He goes, I'm a pretty big deal on Twitter. That's what he said. And I thought, like, I thought people are big deals on Twitter. Like, that's a thing. I thought Twitter was to communicate with other people. Like,
oh yeah, you're a big deal.
Talking about. I know what you mean. Of course, there are big deals on Twitter.
Oh, you know? For crying out loud.
So I'm like, okay, this guy. And then I start seeing him everywhere. And when he was on the stream just yelling at me like, you're a manipulator. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. Like, what are you even doing here? Are you trying to be relevant? Like, what the fuck? So then I realized a pattern in this one's behavior, similar to the pattern with the guys with the stream that I'm trying really hard not to name because I don't want anyone to send any negativity to them. And similar to another group of people that were super like, oh my God, Naomi, like, you're the greatest person ever, while I was at VidCon, who were constantly like, Naomi, come hang out with us. And then like now they're like, you fucking suck. And I'm like, okay, you social climber. Like, go enjoy Daddy Jeff, because like I don't want anything to do with you. You're mean.
Yeah, exactly. No, and see, that's the way you've got to look at it. It's, you know, not so, I mean, I know it hurts and everything, but you got to just look at it in a positive light and say, look, this actually is a good thing that happened, because now I can see people for who they really are. You know, I mean, you now can see that these people weren't friends. They were just waiting.
Well, look, this is one of the things that I tell people all the time, particularly younger people. And I'm sorry, but I'm gonna definitely pull the Sargon card. It's not that I'm older than you, it's that I've lived longer.
In other words, had more experiences.
Yes. He actually said that. I'm not kidding. He actually said that. The internet doesn't do what you guys often think it does, right? You can be acquainted with someone. You can share all sorts of things with someone, but we're not designed to interact this way, right? Just the basic science, right? We're animals. We need, I mean, I'll point to that study that was done. You can see video of it on YouTube. I forget the name of the study, but it's,
well, that doesn't
they
help.
Take a monkey. No, they take a monkey and they offer the monkey a wireframe mom.
Oh yeah.
With bottled milk, right? And then the cuddly one with fake fur or whatever. And despite being hungry, right, the monkey goes to the cuddly one, right?
Even though there's no milk.
Even though there's no milk on it, right? Exactly. So we need interaction, physical, like, you know, face-to-face interaction with people to bond.
Well, we need the social cues as well, right?
Right, to understand when somebody's really joking about it, right? Versus when they're being an ironic Nazi, for example.
Yeah, and the internet is a gap between that and don't think
right. And you think in your head, oh, these are my friends, they're cool. They're awesome. They think like I do. They agree with, you know, things that I agree with, even when you disagree on some other things, right? But you don't know if they're your friend or not.
Yeah.
Friend, like I have like 4 maybe. And that's after 40 some odd years of being alive. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that's a great thing. Yeah. There are 4 people maybe in my life that I know that, you know, they got my back no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, whatever they can do, if I need it, they'll do it. Everybody else is an acquaintance, and they're great acquaintances. They're very nice people.
Yeah.
You know, at least online.
Well, the way I see it is, because again, I'm 41, right? So I come from the old school when we had like green screen computers and Oregon Trail and all that shit.
You remember that?
Oh my God.
I remember
yeah.
that stuff.
There was no Twitter. There was no Facebook. There was no YouTube. There
were bulletin boards.
Yeah, back in my day, like when I say friend, I have two categories of friends. I have real life friends, right? People who I meet with for coffee, face to face, go hang out PTAs and shit like this, right? And then there are friends online, and it's a different friend term that I'm.
It carries an entire different set of connotations.
Exactly. Okay. And even if I use the term friend online, right, it only refers to a certain group of people.
Yeah,
right?
even then,
like I wouldn't consider everyone I ever talked to in a positive way a friend, right? There are certain people I would label as a friend, like Kevin Logan, for instance, or Christy, or
well, don't be gassing Kevin Logan up, man. People hate that motherfucker, man.
Oh yeah, no, but there are certain people who, because I talk to them like in private, or just hang out every once in a while on a stream that I don't stream live, right? It's just a hangout where we chit chat. That to me is a friend online, right? And not everybody's going to fit into that category. And other people are just people I've met who I like and who are acquaintances, and I get along fine with them. But I find it really weird that, because I see it too with our teenager, right, and her friends.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's my friend. Well, have you ever met them? No. Well, what do you mean by friend? Well, they're my friend. Well, no, wait. You mean like, are they your online friend, or are they your friend? And I find it weird. Maybe it's because I'm old. I don't know.
But here's the thing. You can't get away from this.
Yeah.
You can't get away from this. We're not built to do that.
Yeah.
We're not. So you can say that this person is my friend or whatever, but it's not going to be qualitatively or even quantitatively, I suppose, the same thing.
Yeah. No.
Right? They're not, like, I have friends that on online, right, that I think they're pretty decent people. They're nice people. I agree with a lot of what they say. They reinforce things that I believe. We sometimes will disagree on stuff, and everything except this physical face-to-face interaction and stuff. And that you can't fake.
Yeah.
You can't duplicate it. You can't. There's no way to get it online. That's why you see when these guys get together, they behave in the manner that they do.
Yeah.
Right?
It was so, like, well, of course, hindsight is 20/20, but there's a person, okay, so the first couple days that we were hanging out, this person had also like bought tickets to VidCon and like wanted to like participate. And so they had me on Twitter. So they sent me a message and they're like, hey, like, where are you? Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much how we communicated, all of us, like the whole time, like via text message with phones and via Twitter DMs.
Yeah.
And so he's like, where are you? And I told him, no problem. Like, I'm at this hotel by the pool with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, like, come by, we'll hang out. And when the rest of them were like getting ready to go, I woke up pretty early to get my VidCon like pass, but they were going later. And they're like, oh yeah, let's go get our VidCon passes. I'm like, I'm just gonna hang out here because I'm waiting for somebody. And they're like, who are you waiting for? I'm like, oh, some guy I talked to on Twitter. They're like, oh, is he a content creator? Like, what's his screen name? Like, it's like nobody big. Like, it's just blah, blah, blah. And I showed them his like profile on Twitter. They're like, fuck it. Like, why'd you get some rando to like come join us? I'm like, dudes, like, everybody is a human being here with like rights to life, liberty, and fucking freedom. Like, why are we being so?
Because they don't have the subs, man. Yeah.
The fucking sub talk at VidCon like would make me so like uncomfortable. I would sometimes leave for the day or leave a room. I was like, I can't deal. Like, they'd be like, how many subs do you have? I'm like, I don't care. I don't think I told a single person how many subs I had. I just went, I don't care.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing. They measure people by their subs and by their followers and by their
fans. That's a poor substitute.
Really is a poor substitute. Not only is it a poor substitute, but it inflates their egos in some bizarre way that really, I mean, normies
don't do this
care. Yeah, subs are the new penis size. Yvette says, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, in some way, yeah. And yeah, you can't. This is where I put on like the fatherly hat.
The fatherly hat, yeah.
Motherfuckers out there, I told you so. I told you don't be hanging out with them motherfuckers because them motherfuckers are bad people. You don't be hanging out with bad people. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, but I understand Naomi. Sorry, I understand Naomi's desire to be friendly.
Sure, I get it too. Look,
and
I
to
get
take
it too.
people
Totally.
at face value. I understand that.
I get it too. But you know that thing, and I'm going to repeat this to the day I die. I don't care if I'm 80 and still on YouTube going, you fucking kids.
Yeah.
You know that thing, Naomi, where people say, don't attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity?
Yes, and I tell people that all the time.
Yeah, that's ass backwards, right? When you do that, you are essentially taking away from that person their agency. You are saying to them, whatever you do or say doesn't really matter because you're so stupid that I can't really hold you responsible. Do you see what I'm saying?
I don't think that that's what that saying means. I think it's more of like if somebody's actions make you feel unhappy to the point where you think that they're malicious towards you, it's easier to just be like, maybe it's a misunderstanding / they're stupid.
Oh, that's so charitable. It's so nice. See, I just work it the opposite way. I never attribute to stupidity that which I can adequately explain by malice. I assume that like, look, we just did a stream on the Dave Rubin or not the Dave Rubin thing, right? Where he talks to who Stefan Molyneux on race and IQ, right? And I know that largely that's bullshit, right? Yeah. And I sort of mangled what I was trying to say, and somebody on Twitter who's actually like a bona fide scientist, right? Going to get her PhD. She explained it perfectly. Like all the stuff that was rattling around in my head, I just explained. So when I look at people, right, I don't have this discussion like on race because I'm not a biologist and I'm not a geneticist or whatever, right? So I defer to those people, right?
Yeah.
I say, well, look, all the scientists say this, right? Or all this, or they're saying this, and I'm just going by what they're saying. Right. But when you and I have a conversation about some specific thing, right? I assume that you are in good faith coming to me knowing, right? I want to be able to say that. I want to be able to say they know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. Right? You have a reason, a valid, a legit reason for saying what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I would say that like stupid is not a good or valid reason, but malice is a good or valid reason. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I don't agree with you. So for example, there was I don't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday night. A whole bunch of us were at the bar at the Hilton, which is like right by VidCon. And right. it's where Tim Pool was staying. It's where the party happened, like on the first day that I went with Sargon. It's like the really like the hubby type hotel of the place. And I remember being like, oh my God, I can't deal with like a big party of people. So I thought like, oh, just a smaller group is hanging out at the Hilton, so I'll just go there. And I was texting with Chris Worski about this, and he was like, yeah, just come to hang out at the bar with the Hilton with us. I come in, this is where I got to hang out with Barbara for you to see, who's a pretty legit girl. Like, she's a very reasonable human being that I can definitely see eye to eye to on most things. But I walk in and I walk by just to say hi to everybody. And Andy Worski turns to me and he goes, hey, I followed you on Twitter. And I looked at him and I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, like, shit, like, what's the appropriate response to that? Because the only response I could think of was, okay.
Yeah, like, woohoo.
Like, it's Twitter. The people you follow show up in your feed. My feed is full of all kinds of people because I'm interested in all kinds of sides of the conversation. Like, nobody special is followed by me on Twitter. It's not like an exclusive list, which is what I felt he was saying to me. Like, oh, I followed you on Twitter. And I'm like, oh. Yeah,
like, look at me. The great Worski has now followed you, you know?
Yeah, like he announced it. And I'm like,
okay.
Okay, follow me on Twitter. Congratulations. Like, did you want a sticker? Like, that's all I could think. Like, I felt really uncomfortable with that. Like, I didn't say any of this. Of course, it's all in my head.
Yeah.
I said, I think I remember saying to him, like, okay, cool. That's it. And I just went on saying hi to people. I'm pretty sure that Baked Alaska was there. He was dressed as a pineapple. It was weird. He had
not a glass of milk.
No, he had this little he had a legit lady's purse shaped like a pineapple, which he had all of his shit in, and he had dyed his hair like a bright yellow with like a green top, and like it was shaved like a pineapple. It was really fun. He was trying to get everyone around the table to buy his t-shirt.
Wait, aren't pineapples yellow on the bottom and green on the...
Yeah, okay, that's what he did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he did.
I see.
Yeah.
Weird.
So it was like a pretty like big grouping of things. And while I'm on this topic, it's really funny. Two really funny things. One, and nobody's gonna watch this far into the live stream, so who fucking cares?
the people that hate us, yeah, they actually will.
No, they won't. No, they won't. No, they won't. But two things that are really funny is one, after Andy threw his shit fit and turned on Francesca and started making I Hate Francesca videos again, I actually started conversing with Francesca via email, and we started like talking about all kinds of things. And she's a pretty cool, down-to-earth person who has the same kind of attitude of like I've outgrown YouTube. I'm on literal TV now. Like, why would I give a shit? Which is what she was pretty much trying in a nice way to say to Andy during their meeting of like, dude, like, I'm not doing a collab video with you on YouTube. I don't have time for that. I literally have 2 syndicated TV shows. Like, yeah. Like, I don't have time. Sorry. Like, no. And the other funny thing is that to do with Andy is that he was bragging to everybody at that thing about how he was talking to the no bullshit guy. Oh, God. and how he was like, yo, no bullshit guy. I don't remember his name. Like, you need to tone it down. Like, we need to like have a more like informed discussion about things and not just like shit on people all the time. And no bullshit. And no bullshit was pretty much like, no, fuck you. I'm going to shit on whoever I want for as long as I want forever. And Andy was like shit talking this guy. He's like, yeah, he doesn't want to get on board. Fuck this guy, blah, 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 blah. And like, no bullshit is running around being like, yeah, Andy and I are buds. And I'm like, oh my God, he shit talked you so much at VidCon. Like, you don't even know.
Oh my God.
Look, the part of what's going on with the septics, right? What people seem to now be calling the septics. Mm-hmm. Part of what's going on is that they have a serious PR problem, right? When you get people like Mouthy Buddha, who's sort of on the fence here and there on all sorts of issues, because
I don't think he knows whether he's coming or going.
No. He does. He absolutely knows. He absolutely knows. when they're on the fence about this kind of stuff, right? And you get people that are on the fringes, right? I mean, look, Dave Rubin, who I like to shit on because fuck him, when he has Mike Cernovich on and says that you know, this is a moderate, this is the new center, you know, you can't get this stink off of you. You can't. And part of the problem is, part of the reason that you guys often find that like I'm totally down with Steve Shives, and I know he's probably not popular. I don't know about you, but with other people, he's in that clique. He's definitely not popular. And part of the reason is because he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. Like, look, I mean, if you want to make a video, and I'm not saying that these guys have, but some of these guys are skirting around it, like Carl. Yeah. If you want to make a video on the Jewish question, look, I'm all for informed discussion. And by the way, like now, because of, and I'm kind of thankful, you know, in a way, right? Because of these people, I have someone follows me on Twitter that he's black conservative. Mm. And I'm like, well, okay, yeah, I can see that. I don't agree with everything he tweets out or whatever, but you know, there are different. I have Christian friends. I have a Muslim guy who's a lawyer. Yeah. That I talk to every so often, you know. So I'm all for this discussion with other people with differing opinions, right? Yeah. But the thing of it is, the skeptics have decided, some of them anyway, to ask the Jewish question. Yeah. Right? There is no Jewish question, right? The Holocaust was a thing. Right? Yeah. There's no, what are you questioning?
I'm a Jew. I am, and the thing is, like, every time this shit comes up and people are like, oh yeah, I'd really like to like examine like the Jewish thing, or people who say like the Holocaust didn't happen, or people who say like centrism doesn't exist. I'm all for, like, I usually am the one in like the Twitter comments being like, hey, like, do you want to talk about this? Because I'm a Jewish who's also a centrist. Right. By most people's standards. So like, let's talk. And people don't take, like, they don't take the challenge despite the fact that they're completely comfortable making these claims. So for example, Braving Ruin, I've challenged him to a debate 3 times. Not even a debate. Let's have a civil discussion about like your perception of centrism and your perception of Jewish people, and like, let's talk. And every time, deaf ears, nothing, no words, no responses in DMs, no responses in like Twitter responses, nothing.
Well, that's because they're not interested in really having the conversation.
That's because, look, I know, and this, it vexes me to no end. I really Canadians, really. I have met probably the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life once I moved up here. I really have. Like, sometimes
even the meanest Canadian is nice.
People, like, I mean, there were the student protests a few years back. Yeah. And you put them on the news, like you put them on the TV, and you're like, oh my God, the police are there. I'm like, what do you mean the police are there? It's like one cop car. It's like 3 cops. Are you fucking kidding me? In New York, student protests look like motherfuckers are gonna get killed.
Yeah, it's very different.
And I understand it, but it's still vexing. Like, what I find, and I don't know you specifically, right? In general, I see from a lot of the people that are legit centrists, right? Not like the fake ones like Dave Rubin, but like legit centrists, right? They're like, but I want to hear what they got to say. I'm like, dude, look it the fuck up. This is not new. It's not a fucking thing. If you study history, if you read this or you read that, or you saw this documentary here and this one over there, and you knew anything about the subject, right? I mean, admittedly, that's what you're saying, right? Let's hear him out. I don't know what he's got to say. I know what he's got to say. Mm-hmm. I know what that person is going to say. Yeah. And you can rattle it off, right? You know what the talking points, and it's not just for the Jewish question. It's like for IQ. It's like for black crime. It's like, all of these political dog whistles, right? Like, I know about them. I read about them. I mean, I'm not an expert, right? But I know what's going on here. And what happens to very nice people is that they get pulled into this. I just want to look, this Bunty King guy, right?
Yeah.
He made a video where he says that I forget who the other example was, but he said that he would rather speak to Richard Spencer than the other guy he was talking about, because Richard Spencer has an aura of niceness.
Yeah, that's insane.
And Richard Spencer's a white supremacist, right? I mean, I don't care to split the hair. He looks at
people like Bunty King like they need to either be shipped off to wherever the hell they came from or killed.
Right. And that's I mean, it's not like we're making it up. Right? This is not a feminist thing. This is not an SJW thing. This is a, oh my fucking God, you want to kill everyone you don't like thing.
Well, it's a history thing. It's a reading thing. It's a know what the hell you're talking about thing.
And so, like, if you're enamored of how someone sounds, because one of Carl's biggest complaints about me when I talk to him
is you yell.
Is that I'm loud.
Yeah.
How does that invalidate anything I have to say?
Well, being loud means you're wrong.
Being loud is wrong.
Yeah.
Being
I guess Christopher Hitchens was always wrong.
Well, he was always drunk, but he wasn't always wrong. He's pretty much always drunk, though. Pretty much always drunk. But yeah, that's the thing, right? Nice people, they want to give other people the benefit of the doubt, which I understand. Yeah. I totally get, and I applaud that, actually. It would be nice if we could all do that. But a lot of these guys, they don't want to do that.
And they take advantage of it.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but like a lot of these guys are repeating a lot of the talking points that you will often hear on Red Ice Radio and things like that. Yeah. Right? So, when people tell me, well, I'm a centrist, I'm always dubious. Not you, I think you're legit. But I'm pretty much always dubious, and I go, well, does that mean you're actually, I mean, because not everybody, just because YouTube lets anyone make a channel, it doesn't mean they have something to say.
Yeah, I know. I've watched a lot of really cringy videos of people just being like, spewing bullshit and then contradicting themselves in the next sentence, and wait, you don't even know what that means, why are you talking about it? And it's
exactly.
And I don't create videos being like, ha, look at this person, ha ha ha, they don't even know what they're talking about, lol.
Yeah, the ponage videos.
But how many like, I was just telling Jordan about this, my partner, because I have just covered just earlier this week on Monday a stand against white supremacy rally at the university, and of course on this tiny fucking island, nothing happened. Nothing happened. The worst thing that happened was that this guy came up and he was like talking to the organizer, and I was within earshot. And he was talking to the organizer being like, so when are you going to create a rally against Islamic extremism? And she was like, well, Islamophobia is a big problem. He's like, no, not your fucking Islamophobia. Islamic extremism. Your whitewashing of this Muslim situation problem is a really big problem. And like, you need to like get your head out of your ass. And I'm like, okay, that's literally the worst thing that happened. And then when he realized he wasn't getting through to her, he's like, okay, you have a nice day. And he fucked off. That's it.
Canadian neo-Nazis.
Yep, that's all that fucking happened. And then she like made a comment to her friend about how that is white supremacy right there, an example. And and that's it. That's all that happened. So I have all of this footage. And I have like interviews with the organizers before, and I interviewed a couple people there that are like social justice studies people, and I didn't ask them any gotcha questions. We just like talked about issues and class versus race and all that stuff. Right. And I was talking to Jordan about how like I could edit all of this shit into the most amazing whites are being discriminated against video ever.
Oh yeah.
Like, I could cut the things that they're saying together so that like it sounds like they're just like white people suck, minorities rock, like, and put it out there, and it'll be picked up by Breitbart, and they'll run like small Canadian province full of self-hating white people or some shit, and I will trend and all this shit. But do I have any interest in that whatsoever? No.
Well, that's
not at all. My interest is in telling the story.
Well, that's because unfortunately you're like me, and you're have nice. Principles and ethics, and you know that kind of trumps your, you know.
You're nice.
Yeah, exactly. You're nice. You're a nice person.
You know what happens to really nice people?
They get stepped all over.
Yeah.
They never become president of the United States.
They never become like, you know, someone on YouTube with thousands and thousands and thousands of subs, and you know, because that doesn't sell. That doesn't. No, it doesn't sell. And then you become a target for these people, like we saw at VidCon, what they did to you, right?
I still can't believe they fucking did that.
See,
I still can't believe it.
And they still are perpetuating this narrative that you're this horrible, crazy, mental person. I said, you know,
like
and
I said.
Ugh, it's disgusting.
Like I said, right? Just yesterday, the day before, right? The Dave Rubin video came out. Blair White is still going, well, she tapped tapped us.
Oh, the reason that she's saying that, I think, is because they realized that the California, I'm not familiar with California law at all. I don't really give a shit. It's on the other side of a different country. It's something about like wiretapping is where it becomes illegal to record somebody without their knowledge, and only when it comes to wiretapping. So they changed the narrative to be like, well, she actually committed a crime because wiretapping.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that like they keep talking about how like I recorded them without their consent, which I had no fucking idea like that it wasn't allowed. Seriously, like how am I supposed to know that? I was working from a place of emotion of like, holy shit, these people.
Yeah.
And then like June goes and posts a video that I didn't know she was taking of me as they're like,
so how is that legal but yours isn't?
But
and then all of their fans like twisted it, like their little mob twisted. So like, oh, they were in a private area with an expectation of privacy, so they are allowed to record you without your permission, but you're not allowed to record them.
I love how all these self-professed lawyers come out of the woodwork.
Internet lawyers are always all over.
Or a psychologist. Do you know how many people have told me to kill myself, or that I'm autistic, or that I'm sociopath, or that I'm a manipulative like psycho? Like,
oh, I can imagine.
Get help. I'm like, dude, like I've been in therapy for a really long time because of my anxiety and depression, like, and it's been treated. Like, I know how this works. You need to like sit your ass down, girl.
Sit your ass down. Exactly. No, it's these narratives that they push, and they don't let go of them. And I think,
but both of them, both Blair and Candace are like, they have dirty hands. Blair has dirty hands for the reasons that we were just talking about, but Candace also has dirty hands because the girl sought me out. And in Twitter DMs, she's like, hey, like what those people did to you was awful. I'd love to feature you in a video against the septic community, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like telling her, like, if you want to find out what's happening, like, here's a video like that I made, you can watch it. And she's like, oh, like it was so shitty that they were attacking you, like that you have autism and like social anxiety and depression. And I'm like, dude, like my partner's on the spectrum, but like I only have diagnosed and treated anxiety and depression. Like I'm not autistic. And that's when she stopped messaging me. And then like all these people are coming at me being like, you're autistic. And like I messaged her, I private messaged her, and there's a little blue tick, which means that she fucking read it. And it says like, all these people are coming at me calling me autistic. Can you please issue a retraction? And this was on Sunday, so like 2 days before she goes on that fucking Ruben thing.
Yeah. She's a piece of work, that one.
So far as I can tell, she was in some form or other a feminist or feminist adjacent.
Well, she was like
feministy,
I guess.
Yeah, feministy, yeah. And now it appears, and I don't know for a fact, so don't quote me. I don't know. I'm speculating from what little I do know. She seems to be rather right-leaning now.
Yeah.
And again, right, that whole malice stupidity thing that I do that people seem to not like very much. It seems pretty clear that she knows. Look.
Well, she was very malicious to Blair in the beginning of that.
Oh yeah, that was
like,
fucked
I'm
up.
not calling you she. I'm gonna.
Yeah. So no, she was absolutely pandering at best. Because that's what she said, right?
I don't like Blair, but when I heard her say that, I was sitting there and I literally went, oh, that
was low.
Yeah,
that
like
was low.
Shit.
And it was, and it was. But again, I have that feeling that I had at first with Naomi, right?
Yeah. Like I'm just gonna sit here and eat popcorn.
Fuck y'all. Yeah. You stab each other more. That's fine by me.
The thing with Naomi is that she comes from a place of genuine.
Well, right.
Yeah.
But now Candace strikes me as an opportunist.
Mm-hmm.
And
I also get that vibe from her, but I can't be certain until I meet her and sit across from her.
Well, see, here's the thing. I spent a year day trading, right? Just on the computer, right? With E-Trade and whatever, right? Buying stocks, selling stocks, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm a little familiar with people in finance.
Yeah, they're
they're scumbags.
A lot of them have that cut.
The great majority of them, to succeed, admittedly, right? To succeed in that field, you need to be a little bit.
Well, they've done studies. They've done studies on people who are in those
yes,
professions, right? Like people on
finance
Wall
and
Street and stuff like that, and they all show traits of narcissistic personality disorder and the what is it? The dark triad
or whatever it is. Yeah, that stuff. Yeah. And I just know a few, or I knew back years ago, and they're by and large not nice people.
Yeah, well,
so I'm gonna go with the numbers.
She's a piece of work.
I'm gonna go with the numbers. And if you were in finance, I'm gonna bet that your personality hasn't changed all that much if you want to create a database that does whatever she was up to.
Yeah.
Right? Which people have called nefarious, and I can't disagree. Right? I don't know exactly what was going on. And like I said, I was like, stab each other more. Yeah, look at this. I didn't mind, but at the same time, I'm going, yeah, that's possible. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, and so yeah.
Yeah, but I want to bring it back for a bit to what has happened since the VidCon thing, right? You and I think you wanted to talk about this a little bit. You were offered a spot on a podcast.
Yeah, I was offered an interview on a conservative podcast because they wanted to have like a liberal centrist like person on, and I'm like a Jewish liberal centrist NDP voting like Canadian. So how can you get any more?
There you go.
Any more perfect for a conservative podcast? So they're like, yeah, totally. Like we'll record it on the 13th. Like I have my graphics guy doing the thumbnail. So they asked me to send them some pictures so that they could pick which one would best fit the thumbnail. And I did that and they accepted them. And so we were all ready to go. And then this thing happens where it's like Blair drudges up all of the bullshit again. Yeah. And somebody contacted the podcast and is like, don't have Naomi on. She's a crazy stalker, CIA agent, hacker person who's an emotional manipulator because we said so. And so they contacted me being like, hey, Naomi, like, what's going on with this? And so I sent them all the links to like my videos and the prevalent information, being like, there's no evidence for this. I have evidence for everything that I can prove that I didn't do. So like, I don't know what you want to do about it. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll review that stuff. No worries. So I contacted them the next day being like, hey, have you reviewed the stuff? Like, what's going on? Where are we standing? And they basically blocked me.
Yeah.
And like nothing, like I got nothing. I just got blocked. Obviously, like the septic people got to them and said what they needed to say in order to be like, hey, like you want your podcast to succeed? Don't talk to this girl. And also a person that I made a guest video for, like hours and hours of editing, like they won't post my video either.
So this is affecting you not just, you know, emotionally but this is sort of like now leaching out into other things you're trying to do.
It seems like you've been deplatformed, at least from a couple of places.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I'm huge into like, there is an assumption of privacy in DMs and in text messages. So like my video, it would have been so easy to debunk all this bullshit and like air all the dirty laundry on my 50-minute video if I would have shared all of my text messages with Vernaculus and all my text messages with Boring Matt and all my text messages with so-and-so and DMs with this and that and been like, look, we were like people who interacted with each other. I wasn't some random stalker girl. Fuck all of you. But instead, I decided that I was only going to show things that I said because there's an assumption of privacy, and I want to respect that. But in this, but in this case, Staircore, the guy that we're in,
Dominus.
Yes,
Staircore Dominus. I'm trying really hard not to dox him by not calling him by his actual name. Like Staircore Dominus, who, by the way, is like one of the most amazing people I've met in all of this garbage. So when people are like, if you could go back, would you? And I'm like, no, because I met Staircore. Like, he's so cool. Like, I wouldn't trade that for the world. He's such an honest, like, genuine person. Shit, I lost my trail of thought.
Oh, you were gonna say about
the revealing things. So he made a very good case. He said, like, you have to share these DMs with this podcast organizer because it's important that people understand how you've been deplatformed. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Like, after I hesitated a bunch, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Here's the DMs, post them, because it's not a personal conversation. Like, I would never post a personal conversation with people being like, like, put it in my butthole. But I would like, this is just like two people conversing about plans about a podcast. So I was okay with that.
Yeah. And there's no private information or anything. So
right.
Yeah. No, I think Stircore was absolutely right in saying that you need to put that out there, because these are the people who are, you know, all free speech and everything. You know, everybody should have an opportunity to talk, and then they go and do this so that you've been deplatformed. I find that highly hypocritical.
I don't even care about the hypocrisy. To be honest, I kind of expect that. What bothers me, if anything, is the lack of ethical behavior.
Well, yes, there is that too. I mean,
you know, fine, because people, you know, say things in public and they do the opposite in private all the time, right? And that's, you know, that's your business if you want to do that. But when you're in the public sphere and you are a content creator, or if you're a book publisher, or, you know, a documentary filmmaker or what have you, where people are going to take what you say seriously and use what you tell them in, not just in like petty internet arguments or whatever, but to write more, to you know, to influence the zeitgeist, right, for lack of a better term. When that's part of your job, right, the unethical behavior then counts, because if it's, you know, steal little, steal big, right? If you're willing to be unethical with what you do, even if it's in dealing with other people, like on a private level or whatever, right? Then I'm unwilling to grant you the charity to assume that you're being ethical
elsewhere
when you're doing other things, right? Like I'm one that if like I used to be, right, when I read papers, that I would assume that if you put the citation there, if I checked it, it probably checks out.
Right.
Right? That was me as a young man, right? Mm. Starting out teaching English and stuff, right? And then I found a student that an essay they'd written that didn't sound right. It didn't sound like they wrote it. From what I knew of their writing and what I knew of their language skills, it did not sound like they wrote those like 2 paragraphs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I take a sentence from the 2 paragraphs randomly and I put it in Google, and guess what? The entire fucking thing came from a web page.
Yeah, they plagiarized.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, motherfuckers actually do this.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. And now, you can see it. And a couple of people on the feminist side have done this. I don't know if people have done it on the other side. I assume so. Like there was a video that Carl put out that he cited some source, and I forget the particulars, but if you look at the source itself in the video, it says the opposite of what he says it says.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, either you're incredibly stupid or you're pandering. And you're hoping that people are like me or like I was, right? If you said it, must be true. Why would you be lying? And the truth is that,
people lie
all the fucking time. And I don't care if you lie to your wife or your husband. Yeah, that's a terrific dress, honey. Or, oh my God,
you don't look fat in that.
It was the best screw I ever had, baby.
Yeah,
I don't care if you lie about that. But when you're lying about these other things,
yeah, that can affect someone's life outside of Twitter or YouTube or whatever.
And fuck it. It's I'm sorry, but it is relevant. I don't care if Bill Clinton was getting a blowjob from some intern. I care that he was doing it in the White House while he's supposed to be fucking working.
Yeah.
The thing that bothered me about that was that he took advantage of a young person.
Oh yes.
Under him. That's the part that bugged me.
Oh yes. Oh yes. That's absolutely another concern for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't really give a shit that he got a blowjob. Like, good for him. And I don't think it was like rape or assault or anything. Just because like the girl like wanted to be close to power. I understand, but to make Monica Lewinsky a brand that is just to be shamed.
Yeah.
For what she did is fucking horrible that society did that to her. I watched a TED Talk with her. The poor thing, you can't get anywhere with that name.
No,
because everybody's blaming her for the loss of an amazing president, and it's like, this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, that was on a massive scale, right? That was on a
massively unethical,
right?
That's the issue.
But we can sort of extrapolate that and sort of make it a bit smaller to sort of make an illustration of what we're saying here, right? I'm not saying it's as big as Monica Lewinsky and the fucking president, obviously not. But what I'm saying is there are consequences to when these people make up this shit, right? And label someone with something and then go out of their way to spread that information.
Well, like I said,
like look what just happened to you with that podcast, right? I mean, and let's say you were, people found out you were going for a job somewhere, right?
Yeah, which is why, like, my phone number was put out. I don't know how, but it was put out, and that's like, I'm not scared. I live on a tiny island that you have to pay to get off of, so like, nobody's fucking coming here. But like, people were calling me constantly to the point where my phone is on a perpetual silent.
Yeah.
And the first time I picked it up, it was a horrible threat. But the second time I picked it up, I guess that person knew I was going to pick it up because they were watching the live stream. So they said what they said. And then like I still get phone calls where I answer because like now I'm in a much better headspace. So now I answer my fucking phone.
Right.
Pissed my boyfriend right the fuck off that I wouldn't pick it up. And he was also very unhappy with the whole silent thing because I never answered his phone calls. But I picked it up like lately, and like there's somebody breathing on the other side of the line, but they won't say anything.
Oh Jesus!
So it's like I get all these creepy fucking phone calls, and it's like, oh well, you're not scaring me.
We get those every once in a while. Someone somewhere will find our phone number somehow, I guess. And you remember, like, there was this guy kept calling, right? And I would answer. It was like 3 a.m. It was 3 a.m. He'd be like, yeah, baby, what are you wearing? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, who the hell is this? And they're like, and they keep going with all this sexual stuff. So I hang up. Then they call back again. And I'm like,
they're not done yet.
What? No. And then they call back again. And they're breathing heavily into the phone and stuff. And I'm like,
it's hard to jerk off and hold the phone at the same time.
I'm like, who is this? And he's like, going on and on. So I hang up and I told Joe, I said, okay, next time it rings, it's going to be this dude again. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Who the fuck's calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning? I said, you answer it. Don't say anything. Pretend to be me. Right? So Joe answers it, doesn't say anything. I guess the guy assumed it was me. And he's going on and on and on. And you were like, dude, how small's your dick? And all of a sudden the guy freaked out.
I still feel a little dirty.
I still feel a little violated.
I actually
every once in a while,
before VidCon, like, and I still do this with people. I tutor them on how to live stream and how to set up their channel and like all this stuff. Because I don't mind, like, I'm like, oh, you want to be on YouTube? You want to learn how to edit? Like, I'll run you through using, like, a free editing stream, no problem. So this guy, like, contacted me. He's like, hey, like, I want to learn how to edit. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, do you have Skype? Or, like, do you want to do Hangouts so we can screen share and I can show you what I'm doing? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he gets me to, like, be connected with him. He turns on his fucking camera. He's holding his phone, like, below his waist. He's completely naked. This brown dude, brown or very light black, and he's masturbating, saying like to the like his sound is on. He's masturbating. He's looking down into the camera while masturbating and like, do you like my dick? Like, tell me my dick is huge. And I hang up the call and I type into like Twitter. I'm like, dude, like, do you like realize how creepy what you just did was? Like, none of that would turn anyone on at all, and also that angle's not flattering to you at all.
Yeah.
that angle's not good for you.
Yeah. Don't do that.
He never contacted me again, but I'm like, this is a thing people do, like.
Yeah.
What kind of reaction do they want?
It is a thing that people do.
People and again, this is that thing that vexes me to no end. Like, I don't think that people quite understand how depraved other human beings can actually be.
Yeah, people are fucking sick, man.
So now when I hear, like, I don't care anymore, right? If somebody tweets at me or it's in my stream or whatever, a gif of somebody planning to commit murder or somebody, some septic said this, and I don't go, no, that's a Poe. I go, fuck.
Yeah.
Confirmed. It's because
I get dick pics in my DMs sometimes.
Oh yeah,
I used to have. Yeah. I used to have open DMs. I closed the open DMs just because of the amount of dick pics I was getting, and none of them were impressive. Like none of them. Like
they're not impressive penises at all.
Yeah, no, these were sad penises, right? Like very sad penises.
Cry penises.
Yeah, cry penises. And I'm like, what the? Like, do you really think that this is?
But again, this is what happens when children and let me tell you,
it's like, does your mother know you're doing this?
Does your mother know you're doing this? We got 5 kids, and they are allowed on the internet to use, like they each have a tablet, right? Their own tablet.
Yeah.
They're allowed to go online.
But like, they go in
Friday evening.
Yeah, but they also go in only through my account. Yeah, so I can see exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it, and with whom.
And they are allowed to be online from Friday afternoon, right, when school lets out, when they get home, obviously, up until about Sunday evening.
Yeah, around 7-ish.
Or around 7-ish or so, right? When they start, you know, when supper, and then, like, once supper hits, then
that's it.
Supper, maybe a little TV, like Netflix, right?
And then
go to bed, right? And that's it. You're off the internet unless you need, like, to do a homework assignment.
Yeah.
And then I'm there, right? Because the computer for that
is right.
It's not a tablet, and it's right here.
Yeah.
So I know what you're doing, and this other stuff, the dick pics and you can do what you want. I'm not saying don't, right? If people want, like, if you want to trade dick pics with someone or whatever, right? Or if you want to, like, you know, have a private stream.
You hear Anthony Weiner? Anthony Weiner. If you want to send your wiener around,
if you want to send your wiener around, as long as it's to adult people, I don't mind. I'm not saying don't do it, but this is what happens when most of your life is online. And let's be real, if you're making a video, a half an hour video, like all of these guys do, or like half an hour or more sometimes, you're online all day, sometimes 3-4 days at a shot. So if you're putting out 2 videos a week, like,
you mean produced
like
videos.
If right, yeah, like if you do, like if you know, click this video, so this person said that, and you want to talk about that.
Yeah, because production takes a while.
Right, so. and getting the stuff, right, getting the video clips and all that stuff. Yeah, you need social interaction, like face to face with human beings, because, you know, whipping out your dick is not something generally you're gonna find that people do at Starbucks.
And if they do,
right, we have cops for this, right?
It's something that I definitely realized when I was on the in with these people. There's an echo on your side, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
hold on.
How's that?
See if that's better.
Probably. Oh no, it's still there.
Oh, it's still there. Damn it. Okay, try now.
Echo? Yeah, it's still there.
Damn it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not you. Here, I'll try. Hold on. Where's the?
Yes, it is. It's her. Just blame her. It's fine.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself. See if that helps.
Yeah. It's something that I noticed when I was like on the in with these like septics is that I have like a standing obligation where my friends and we go to the microbrewery, the PI Brewing Company, every Wednesday night for trivia. And it's like a thing that we do. We all go hang out. We usually place in the top 3, and we have free beer money, and we drink like microbrews and casks, and it's great. And I would get like messages from people being like, hey, want to stream? Like, let's stream now, like with a link to the Hangouts. And I'm like, dude, like I'm out in the world, like doing a thing with people. And they'd be like, but why? Like, just what? Like, this is inconvenient.
Yeah, like I have a life, and you know, you're wanting me to be online again.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you want to be technical about it, right? This is what the and again, not a psychologist, right? What the literature, right? The psychology literature calls milieu control.
Yeah.
Right. They try that people, and they don't even know they're doing it. I'm not saying it's deliberate, right? But you're part of the group, and they want you to be with the group
all the time.
Right? All the time.
Yeah.
And essentially, it ends up being a way to monitor you, a way to control who you interact with and for how long, and right, and what the interaction ends up being like.
Yeah.
Right. And I know this not only from what I've read, but also because when I first started on Twitter, right, and I found the atheist community, which a lot of these guys were part of, right, you could see, and I participated in it, where some creationist or other would say something.
Oh, and everybody would go.
Yeah. And then this is another aspect of it, right? Where you have this ritualized and sanitized, clearly, kind of attack on someone.
Yeah.
Right? Which is part of bonding, part of
you see it all the time.
Group cohesion.
You see it all the time. Someone like Chris Ray-Gun will say something about someone, and then all his fans, all his little followers will go and pretty much repeat ad nauseum.
And this is not, and again, this happens from the other end of the aisle too.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like I'm being partisan. It's a thing about human beings, right? Yeah. When we're part of a group, we have mechanisms that most of the time most people are just unaware of.
Yeah.
That serve to reinforce group cohesion.
Yeah.
And this is what I began to see when you were going down this path, right? And what it is just that you're an in-group, right? You're a member, and now you're going to do what members do.
Exactly. And oh my God, it's
ridiculous. It works the same in any group, right? But that's one of the things that I notice also specifically about people that call themselves identitarians.
Yeah, or
the identitarian question is actually the most fascinating thing lately for me. Like just examining their beliefs and like what they think and how they put together like the claims of what they're saying is just fucking amazing. Like I don't know what to feel about it, but I just know that I want to know more about where they're coming from.
Yeah, it's sort of a rebranding of white nationalism, not so much white supremacy, but white nationalism.
They've gone through rebranding very frequently in the past 5 or 6 years because it just doesn't sell. It doesn't sell.
Well, no.
It sells to people, and this is again one of the things that happens with the septic people and their followers is that like when people assume about me, right? I've had people come on Twitter and go, just the other day, I was talking to someone who follows me, and I forget what the conversation was about, but somebody else joined in to start a dispute, right? To disagreeing, and they told me, "Oh, you're just trying to get some ethot pussy." I'm like, dude, like I have that covered. Thank you. I have it. But the opposite, at least for me, isn't always the case. When I make these assumptions, this is one of the things that Chris hates about me. When I reach these conclusions, it's like
you're usually right.
2 months later, 3 months later, oh yeah,
I told you so.
Yeah, look at that shit.
Shut up. Can you predict the lottery numbers?
That's
nice.
I wish I fucking could. I wish maths were that easy. Maths.
Why can't you do that?
Maths are easier to understand than people.
Oh, I just remembered another thing that I was kind of deplatformed from, but I went out for lunch with the honey badgers, and I did send them a message like a couple days after I got back from VidCon before this whole thing exploded. I was watching like a stream of theirs, and I sent them a message being like, hey, would love to like talk to you guys about this if you ever have time. And they sent me a DM back, like we were talking back and forth for a while, sent me back a DM like, yeah, honey, don't worry about it. Like, we'll have you on sometime in the future. And like now nothing, silence.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I gotta say, I am impressed by, all of these things that have happened to you. I understand that from your perspective, clearly they are not good.
No, they're not.
But at the same time, like, I hear you say these things and I'm like, oh, well, that's a point in your favor.
Well,
actually.
no, she's come to realize the positive of it.
And
right?
No, I mean like not just positive, like personally, right?
Right.
Not just the ability to better understand where people come from.
But to not hang around with these people.
But for me,
yeah.
The reason that I'm not that I approached you to do this stream is because for me, these are actually positives.
Yeah, these are good things.
You know, if the Nazis don't like you, good.
Yeah,
that's good.
And
right?
and that's the way you need to see it, Naomi. If these
I don't think that they're Nazis.
No, I'm just using that as an example. I'm just using that as an example. No. There are people that have the ideology that share a lot of those things with the Nazis. They're technically not Nazis. I will usually call them that just because I can't be bothered to although now we have 240 characters on Twitter, so perhaps I'll change this. But I'm like, yeah, you're a fucking Nazi. Because white nationalists takes longer to type.
No, I don't do that.
But
I think the positive takeaway is that, you're not involving yourself or associating yourself with people who really are not nice people, and
when they are, there are a few.
Yeah.
I don't care. That's the thing.
What do you mean?
Well, this is what I was talking about before, the PR problem that these guys have. Everybody knows they're dicks.
Yeah,
right? Everybody knows that Carl's a dick. Carl said it, right? I'm a troll, right?
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I like to act like a little kid, right? And a lot of these guys are into that, which is fine. If that's what you want to do, go do you. But then the result of that, right, is, look, I'm all for actual free speech. If you want to say it, as long as you're not hurting somebody or inciting violence, look, say it. But see, if you run around with a Pepe Le Pew pin,
everything has consequences.
Right. If you run around with a Pepe Le Pew pin talking about how whites are superior and blah, 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 like Richard Spencer does, I'm just saying, don't be surprised if someone runs up to you in the middle of the street and punches you in the face. I'm not saying it's okay. Yeah. The guy should go to jail.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, consequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with punching Nazis.
I know you are.
But if you get caught, then you go to jail, or you're arrested and whatever, processed and all that. Again, the consequences. If you want to do that, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't. I think it's a bad idea to run up to Richard Spencer and punch him in the face.
Or anyone.
Yes. But I understand why.
Well, yes, understanding is not the same as condoning.
No. And so, I understand his violence and all the rest of that stuff, and I get that. But like I said, right, consequences.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're hated or disliked or deplatformed by, say, Red Ice Radio, I'm not saying you, right? Or by the people who deplatformed you, right? That kind of raises your image in my view. But I guess, I'm partisan that way, I suppose.
The thing that really bugs me about the whole thing is that in the beginning I really tried to see which ones were kind of logical or prone to reason, because I really thought, and I'm a naive moron, I thought that this group of people were open for debate and conversation and actual facts and evidence and shit. And so I tried to kind of figure out which ones would be more prone to that. And when they came to me accusing me of shit, I would interact with them being like, so where is the evidence for this, and why is there no evidence for that? And they would just keep going with the dogma at me, just over and over, to the point that now I just ignore all of them that come at me with these lies, with these talking points, because and I feel like I'm missing out on some great conversations, because out of the 100 assholes, there are 2 or 3 good, level-headed, fun people that I'm missing out on interacting with, because I just can't. I can't.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I understand totally.
And so it's coming up on 12:15, so I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah, it's bedtime for you parents.
Yeah, exactly, for us old fogies. But did you consider, did you or do you still consider yourself an anti-feminist?
Did you ever?
I used to actually advocate for feminism on Facebook before, and I'm echoing again.
Oh, hold on, I'll mute. Hold on.
So I did used to consider myself a feminist on Facebook, and I saw a bunch of my younger friends on there. My friends' kids who were friends with me on Facebook, I saw them spewing a lot of like hatred towards feminism. So I would like link them to like a Marina Shut Up video, Feminist Friday, or like something like that, being like look, this is what, like, feminism isn't there to do any harm. It's just a series of beliefs and ideas that some people follow in order to make the world a better place. It's no crazy big deal. And then I started delving into the rabbit hole that these kids were like linking me to, and realized that there is a lot of the Dworkin leftover bullshit that has morphed into a new third wave feminist, like, if you are white, kill yourself type bullshit. And so I became very unhappy with the fact that that existed. So on the one hand, I stopped calling myself a feminist and started calling myself an egalitarian, because I didn't like that faction and I didn't want to be associated with anything that had a faction like that.
Like the radical feminists.
Yeah. The, Julie Bindel and people like
Scum Manifesto and all that. Yeah.
But also the people who say things like, if you're white, you can't understand where other people are coming from, not understanding that the world is divided by class and not race. I didn't like that either. So the intersectionality of it, I'm not on board with that at all. So some people can call it anti-feminism. I just call it, like, these are the arguments that I've evaluated, and based on that, this is what I've come to. So some people call it anti-feminist, some people call it anti-SJW. I just call it, like, let's look at this specific idea, and do I agree or disagree with this idea, and what parts of it do I agree with or disagree with?
Good on you.
I think that's a really healthy way of looking at things. I wish more people would.
Good on you. I think that the label thing is done.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
I think it's overdone. Yeah. So
good
on you for that.
And so when you started hanging out with the people, like you hung out with at VidCon and stuff, did you share a lot of their beliefs, or was it just, you were interested in the conversation, or?
It was the conversation. It was definitely the conversation. And also a lot of the time, like, I was the one, like, I got a lot of flack during VidCon from some of these big YouTubers, because when they would say shit like, Anita Sarkeesian, oh fucking God, like, she should fucking kill herself, like, the world will be a better place, I would say things like, that's a little bit extreme because you don't agree with their opinion. And then they'd be like, what are you standing up for them? And I'm like, it's not a me versus them kind of situation. It's a, you can disagree with their ideas. We don't need to ask for her to kill herself. Oh, can't you take a joke, Naomi? And it's like, it's not funny to joke about somebody not existing on Earth anymore because you don't agree with their opinions.
I agree totally. Yeah, exactly. And so now, I think you mentioned it before, but you see yourself sort of as a center, I guess, or like, how would you describe yourself?
For anybody watching this that is from the States or the UK, like, we have a party in Canada called the New Democratic Party, the NDP, and I've voted NDP since I could vote. So the NDP are considered socialists by some, but on the other hand, they hold some very conservative views. So they're a party that is to the left.
It's like a center left, I would say.
Yeah, and the liberals are center, like, kind of stepping over the right, like, the line. So I voted NDP. Like, I'm for socialized healthcare. I'm for the social safety net. So for those of you in the US, that means that when somebody loses their job or their husband, we should pay enough taxes so that there's a safety net for them to adequately and within a reasonable time frame, so not too much, prove everything to us right away, should be allowed to get access to money and childcare and all of these things. So that's the kind of person that I am. like, and I understand the libertarians that are like, fuck government, abolish it. And I understand the super conservatives that are like, I want the government to control women's wombs because murder is bad after conception. And I understand the people on the right that are like, there's like a sentence that Sincera Taylor says, which is abortion, access to abortion at any time without question, or something like that. And I get that position, but I can also stand here and be like, once the baby is viable, I'm not okay with it. But if you want to go ahead and do you do you. Like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you sound to me like a egalitarian humanist, basically. That's how I would see you.
It sounds to me
like you're pretty informed. I mean, it sounds to me like
like she's too smart for the crowd she was running with.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like she's too smart for them.
That's not a popular thing.
Yeah,
it's not a popular thing.
Yeah, I think that you have your head screwed on straight, and that's a really, in this day and age, is a really rare thing, I gotta say. Especially online. So yeah, kudos to you.
It was definitely a rude awakening for sure.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
Well, I don't envy it.
I'm going to end the stream here because, like I said, it's almost 12:30, and I got some stuff to clean up before we go to bed.
I've got a couple of things to do too. So
yeah. So thank you so much, Naomi, for being on the stream, and hopefully we can do this again. And everyone should go subscribe to Naomi and follow her on Twitter and give her much love and props and not believe anything those assholes say about her. And
well, I don't think the people that listen to us believe anyway. For sure.
You guys have been great. Go sleep so you can deal with teenagers in the morning.
Oh God,
don't remind me.
Oh God, we have children.
So, is there anything you want to plug at the end of this that I haven't plugged for you already?
Not much. You plugged my channel. That's great. Honestly, I don't care if you subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe out of hate. I've got a lot of hate subscribers.
We have those.
We have those too.
So, I do a series on my channel that I really like. It's called Reason Redefined, where I take a concept and I kind of rip it apart and then put it back together in order to like kind of examine it. So things like libtard and feminazi and stuff like that. So that's something that I'm pretty proud of because a lot of effort goes into it.
Oh, cool. I need to go listen to those. I haven't listened to those ones yet. So, yeah, no, cool. I got to go listen to those. And everyone else should, too.
Go, yes.
Okay, bye, good night. Bye, good night.
Good night.
All right, good night, everybody. Thanks, Naomi. Have a good night. Wait, how do I'm pushing the wrong button.
Of course you are.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Oh, wait.
What?
If you're still listening, go visit